I have in my hand something that you all might want. You all see this. This is our friend Benjamin. So if I were to give you this $100 bill and you could walk out of this church $100 richer, what would you do with this money? So with $100, you could use it to buy something right away. You could afford a base level subscription to Netflix for a whole year. You'll still get all the ads and sponsorships and none of the perks, but you can afford a base level subscription. You could also, with $100, buy an Amazon Kindle reader. You could bring a family of 4 out to dinner at a decent restaurant this evening. Or you could go to Blue Chip or Four Winds and see where this takes you. Another thing that you could do if you got this $100 is you could deposit it into a checking or savings account. Just let it sit there for later until you need it. Then there's a third option of what you could do. With $100, you could go invest that money in a fund that over time would increase so that it makes you more money. So you might use the following terminology to help you with these 3 different ways of putting your money away. You could either blow it, you could stow it, or you could grow it. So you could blow it. That means instant gratification. I'm going to spend it right away because there's something I want. You could stow it, meaning you save it for later, but it doesn't make money for you. Or you could grow it to let your money make money while you're not watching. Now, I'm no financial expert. I'm not here to give a finance homily or anything like that. But based on my experience, it seems that the most prudent thing to do with your paycheck is not to blow it on the next big screen TV that comes out. Right? A more responsible thing to do seems to be to at least stow it away for when you need it. And maybe a smarter thing is to go invest it so that it grows over time and you have some cushion to support you in the future. Because unfortunately in the financial world, Americans are not great at saving much for retirement. More and more Americans are having to work later, past retirement age, because they just don't have the money saved up to support them. I saw a statistic that only 1 in 3 Americans have a 401k account. Part of that is due to inflation, and it's hard to make a living these days. But also part of it seems to be that we live in consumerist America. We're much more inclined to take our next paycheck, this $100, and go buy flat screens or smartphones or game systems or nice cars, rather than to go invest it in something that'll make money over time. We're about instant gratification. I want things now, not later. I want it now. But it doesn't take a finance expert to know that if you don't put money away and save it, invest it for later, you have a pretty shaky foundation. So like all of you, I make a salary. It's a little bit more than this, but what I have to do is I don't get everything paid for retirement. I have to save for my retirement too, if that ever comes one day. So what I have to do is put money away into an investment account so that it can grow over time so that when I do retire, I will have something to support me. Now, why am I talking about money today? Well, because what are we here for? We're not here because of money or to get some type of temporal good out of why we come to church. We're here because of Him. We're here to grow in faith in the Son of God who gave His life for you and me. And faith can be similar to money. Faith is like spiritual currency. Because when God gives you a gift of grace, you can either blow it, or you can stow it, or you can grow it. So if we go to Mass only when we need to, or we pray only when we want to win the lottery or when we want our team to win, then it's like taking that paycheck and just going and blowing it on the newest iPhone. It's like, oh Lord, if you would help me with this, but if you don't, off you go. Instead, God gives you and me the gift of grace so that it can be invested, that it can be grown in our own hearts. That's why we're here. It's not a one-time deal. Just like you don't put money away one time, you got to do it over and over again, like every month. In our faith, we got to pray every day. Invest that time with God. Just like I have to sacrifice the things I want in the moment, I can't go spend this on I can't go to the boats tonight. I have to go put it away in order for it to grow. I have to sacrifice the things that I want. And it's like putting things away for God, spending time with God in prayer, sitting with the Lord, and asking His blessings in your life. That's investing. That's called spiritual investment. And this is especially important when a crisis comes. Anyone here ever experienced a financial crisis? What happens when you come across hard times and you take a hit to your checkbook? Well, you have to dig into your savings. You might have to go into your investments. It doesn't mean you stop investing, but it means you have to go where you weren't expecting to go. It's the same for our life of faith. Lots of us have lost people close to us. Lots of us have gone over hard times. And your faith takes a hit. It's tested. This past week, a tragedy hit for one of my good priest friends. So he's a couple years younger than me. He's about 30 years old. And he was on pilgrimage with his parishioners from his parish over in Lake County. And he was with his mom and dad over in Rome. A couple of days ago, while they were in Rome, his father woke up with some severe chest pains. Within a few moments, he was saying goodbye to his wife and his son, and that was it. Absolutely devastating for this wife and 8 children that he left behind. But because they have a strong foundation of faith, they've been building up that investment in their relationship with God over the years. They're able to reach into that account, reach down into their hearts to find where God is when it seems that God's not there. That's what helps you in a time of crisis. In the gospel today, Jesus shows up to his disciples after he had died and risen, after they had just witnessed that occur up there on the cross, and their faith was shaken. And this was after 3 years of these guys following him, investing time with him, and building a relationship with him. And he says to them, all those things that came before me in the Old Covenant, all the prophets, the laws, the Psalms, they're all fulfilled in that, in the death and resurrection of Christ. All arrows point to him. And so all arrows of my life and your life ought to point to him too. If I invest so much in my financial future, and I spend so much time thinking about this and how this is going to create a good cushion for me, then how much more should I invest in my life of faith? How much more time spent in prayer thanking God for all of the gifts he's given to me? And how much more do I need to give to God in return for what he's given to me? If God has been generous with us, then what's God asking of us in return? So with all of that in mind, I'd like to invite you to partner with me and with our parish in this year's Catholic Services Appeal. CSA, this is also known as the Bishop's Appeal. It comes around every year. It's the way that we join together with the bishop and the larger church to support our future as a larger church. It supports initiatives like faith formation of our youth, women's care centers, Catholic charities, and perhaps most pertinent, the education of our seminarians, our future priests. I think I said before, I mentioned to you that since I'm now vocation director, I wasn't going to get any more seminarians staying with us here in LaPorte because I'm in charge of them, so I have to kind of send them elsewhere. Well, I was wrong. The bishop said, why don't you take a couple of them to LaPorte so they could study Spanish? I said, okay, all right. The more the merrier. So we'll be having 2 seminarians living here in LaPorte with us, ministering in this community. And the last 3 years, we've had a total of 4 seminarians, plus these 2 this summer. One of them has already become a priest. The rest of them are still in formation. And you have helped to form them into the priests that they will become. You've all had a hand in that. And what CSA does is it helps to ensure that they receive the foundation, the education that they need. Because who knows, Maybe one of them will be sent here to replace me in a few years. You can see on the cover of your bulletin the goal that has been established for our parish this year. It's gone down since last year. That's the good news for us. In the last couple of years since we combined our parishes, Holy Family has had a very strong showing in our CSA contributions. Whatever has been contributed above and beyond our goal has come back to the parish tax-free so that we've been able to use it for projects. We've devoted a lot of resources toward one of our parish's dreams, the St. Joseph School building. So we've put a lot of money into it. We will continue because we need to upgrade security for our faith formation students. And then perhaps one day, if the time comes that we open up a Catholic school in LaPorte, it will require a significant investment on our part. But that's what this is for. It's us investing in our future. So I've submitted my contribution of $1,200 toward this year's campaign. I invite you to consider supporting as well. This past week, you would have received in the mail a special mailing inviting you to take part in the campaign this year. If you did not receive it, there are some envelopes in your pews. I just invite you to take some time this week to reflect and pray about God, how God has blessed you and how He is inviting you to be generous in return. So back to this $100 bill. If you were to walk out of this church, what would you use it for? Would you go blow it on something right away? Or would you invest it in your financial future? Would you invest it in the church's future? Would you take that relationship with God that you have right now and invest in the faith life for you by spending time with the Lord and growing in prayer with Him? Let's just take a few moments right now to reflect on God's blessings that He's given to us. Amen.